Welcome again, Larry Titus. Thanks for joining me today, and thanks for joining me for these past 11 weeks. And I hope you'll stick with me one more week after today. So we got another one coming up in 1 week from now, and I just really appreciate the fact that you would take time to sit and listen and to be trained. And hopefully you're replicating what we're talking about and doing it. So the world's greatest leader taught us that the most important thing is for us to make disciples of people from all ethnic groups, teaching them to observe everything that Jesus did. So I gave you a testimony 2 weeks ago from Gene McGuire. That testimony related to how to be a disciple. Last week from Chris Bear, an incredible testimony on how to make disciples. I want to cover the third point that we mentioned at the very beginning of the series, and that is the third step to make it a complete cycle of biblical training, how God has called us to fill the world with the glory of God and the good news of Jesus Christ. And the Great Commission is to go and make disciples. So the final one, I'm going to demonstrate myself. And I'm going to avoid anything that would even sound pretentious or self-aggrandizing, but I do want to give you from my perspective. Because through the years, God has called me to release people into their ministry. I believe that in every church that I've ever pastored, I've raised up leaders that have taken my place, and in most cases have done a much, much better job than I ever did. And I believe that God has called me to bring you to this third step, and the third step being this, and that is how to release, how to delegate, how to give away your authority, how to allow them to do it. Actually, this happens beginning in the home, by the way. Your wife needs to be a carrier of your authority. If you're the head of the house, which you are as a man, give away your authority. You don't control, you don't keep. If you keep it, you're going to lose it. You give it away, and then it begins to go down to the children. It filters down until the children become carriers, become stewards of the authority that you've given to them. So Jesus said, all authority is given unto me, and he released the disciples. So the 12 disciples had actually, during his life on earth, had actually done a pretty miserable job, and in fact, they all forsook him in his final days. And Jesus still committed to them the Great Commission, everything I told you to do, you do it, pass it on to others, so that if you've learned it from me, teach others the same things that I taught you to do. It's not complicated. It's not a big deal. Do you love people? That anything you've learned in your lifetime about Jesus Christ and anything else in life, teach it to them, train them, give it away, any of your talents, skills, abilities, but most of all, your commitment and your passion for Jesus. So then allow this delegation to be the sending part. So he sent them. So they were originally called disciples, which means students, and then they were called apostles, which means sent ones. We're not talking about the office of an apostle. We're talking about everybody needs to be sent, needs to be delegated replicators of everything that you've taught them. Unless you have this third part here, it stops in its tracks. Everything then, it becomes non-existent. It fades away. It vanishes. You must carry on. How can I just give release to these people? So God has called me to be a releaser of the people. I will take these principles, I will release them. If in my lifetime, or if in my past 10 years or whatever, I've trained 12 individuals. If I take those principles, which is going to be my final session next week, take those principles and give them to you, and you give them to somebody else, and they give them to somebody else, within a matter of 2.5 years, the entire world would be reached 10 times over. Can you imagine? If we would just follow the principles, not of addition, but of discipleship, which is multiplication. God has called you to give away, give it away, release people, bless them, send them. It's funny, as pastors of churches, so often we bless people coming into our church and we curse them going out. We never just bless them. I'm not the only person that they can grow by. They can grow by a lot of ministries. Just release them, bless them, send them, get them out. Everybody in the church needs to get out of the church to preach the gospel into the world. We all need to be discipling others outside of the four walls of the church. This is not a class. This is a relationship of individuals that love people so much, I want to give away whatever God has given me. And that replication can only occur if I have a sending process at the end of my training process. And that's what Jesus, the world's greatest leader, did. He said, go. And with that, he didn't dust off his hands, saying, no longer with you. He said, I'll be with you. I'll never leave you. I'll never forsake you. I want to stick to you like a Band-Aid till I come again.